Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic with Mike, the premier business radio program. I'm your host, Mike King. Appreciate you being here with me. On the Mic with Mike, we highlight partnerships, people, we uplift the community and showcase RVA in a different way. You can follow me on social platforms, On the Mic with Mike, or On the Mic with Mike, RVA, as well as Mike King Biz. This is part of the Mike King Biz Radio Network, ESPN Richmond 106.1, The Choice 105.3, International Business Growth Radio. We do like LeBron and take our talents on the road, as well as CW Richmond every Wednesday, Friday, 5 a.m. 5 a.m., that's where the game changers come. All righty, so I'm out there minding my business. I see a lady who combines business, finance, and sports. I say we got to talk. Welcome to the program, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
All righty, it's a business show, so tell folks who you are and what you do.
I'm Angela Rowe. Professionally, I'm a retired banker. And women...
Never retired. You always still really. Yeah, not really. Yeah, okay.
In fact, Women Know Sports and Money is part of that post-retirement pivot. I started Women Know Sports and Money in 2020 during the pandemic. And it's really my philanthropic brand. So how I give back. And we seek to engage, educate, empower. So we engage our audience by bringing them in with sports. Everybody loves sports. Sports is universal. Then we educate them, let them know where there's financial resources, economic empowerment resources, and for entrepreneurship. And then we empower them to use that money. We also focus on all things wellness. So we engage, educate, empower, bring them in, provide information, and then they can take that information then to take action.
A lot of times when a friend of mine runs the Women's Business Resource Center over Virginia Union, Dr. Danny, she always talks about women in business and finance and expanding their business, hardly ever using the power of other people's money. Most of the financing of businesses comes out of their purse. A lot of times we think of men, sports, finance, and a lot of times it doesn't end up well for the athlete on the other end. Explain to the listeners, is there a difference with women? Do women seem to be better at managing their money, say, post-professional careers? Because people always wondered that.
Yes. That's why it's Women Know Sports and Money. Women know how to manage their money. But also what I try to promote is women helping women. So, for example, I have been the inaugural sponsor of the RVA, the Richmond Rowe Runners, which is a professional women's basketball team. Their CEO is Coach Barvinia Wooten, and she's their CEO. And so I've helped sponsor that team to help give them exposure, help them financially. So one of the things women are good at is helping each other.
Yes.
And so it's called leverage. And so leveraging is using someone else's money to help, what it is you have, but you've got to bring them in. They've got to buy into your vision. And because I love sports and I would love to see, more sports come to Richmond, that's how the marriage of me sponsoring the Richmond Rowe Runners. Coach Wooten is absolutely great.
Shout out to Coach Wooten. She is awesome.
She is an awesome person, and she's got an assistant coach, Rollins, and he's awesome as well. And I'd really like to see this continue and really take off. So they've done a really good job. They're about to start their third year. So again, I've been one of their inaugural and continuing sponsors, and I hope to continue sponsoring them to help get that off the ground.
As well, I saw you as one of the sponsors at RVA Sports Awards as well.
Yeah.
Talk about what it means from a philanthropic standpoint of what that means to business for you.
Well, for me, it's I had a very rewarding and successful banking career, and so my pivot was to give back to the community. And so Women Know Sports is that philanthropic brand for me. I didn't want to just give, support financially and otherwise under my name. I wanted there to be some substance behind it. So that's the impetus of the Women Know Sports and Money. The RVA Sports was another opportunity for me to sponsor something that I think is great for Richmond, bringing sports to Richmond. And so I was glad to women under my Women Know Sports and Money brand to be one of their premier sponsors. And again, it's all about me wanting to bring more sports to Richmond. And if there's a way that I can do that and promote it, get more women involved, more men involved. Women Know Sports and Money isn't just about women in sports. It's about everyone in sports, bringing everyone that loves all kinds of sports. And so I was ecstatic to be a sponsor for the RVA Sports Awards.
One of the things that I talk to people about here is the business side of sports. There's sports is great, but it's the business side of it that's really intriguing. So when I sat down with Coach Wooten, everyone's going to talk X's and O's. But when you hear that's the coaching aspect, but when you hear the ownership aspect, that is the game changer. Whether you own a major league team, an NFL team, a team that is female basketball players, talk about the vision that you see when you saw Coach Wooten and said, hey, I got to jump on and support her vision.
Well, as a former banker, I actually did small business lending. And so I know the challenge that small businesses face starting up and staying in business. So that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to help her. We actually met at one of Rising Towards Success, Real Talk with Monica, had an event.
Shout out to Monica Ball out there.
And we met at that event. Monica was bringing women together, and it was a educational event for different types of women in different types of venues. And that's where I met Coach Wooten. And because I knew when she shared with me her vision for the team, I knew I had to jump in because I know the business side. That was the side I thought I could, most help with. So, she's helping young women. She's had a couple of players that have played overseas, and it has to work for them. And so that's the financial piece. And that's why I've continued to support her, because it's not about X's and O's. It's about the bottom line. And she's trying to make that work. And I want to, continue to support her.
From a business standpoint, business model, which league do you think is the more impressive? So would it be the NFL, the NBA, from a marketing business standpoint? But I remember before, the NFL was done today. Now the NFL does not miss a beat.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's how I got into sports. I became a 10-year-old Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Okay.
And so I've been following the NFL. I've seen them in the 70s and where they are now, but they've continued to market themselves. One of the things I found interesting, and I'd like, I'm very curious to see how this works. The NFL Sunday Ticket is going to YouTube.
I saw that.
And I was very surprised. I'm one of those who had the NFL Sunday Ticket through DirecTV. And so I was very surprised. I think there was Amazon that was interested in getting in from their, their video, their Prime. And so they've been on the forefront of trying to market and reach as many, new sports fans, if you will. So they've actually, they've pivoted, if you will, as more technology comes, more streaming. The NFL has been on the forefront of that, and I'm very interested in seeing how the YouTube delivery of the NFL tickets going to play out. But it has to be the NFL.
It has to. All right, ma'am. I am a baseball fan, and we had a conversation about baseball, and you let me know that you are an Atlanta Braves fan. Give our listeners who don't understand, so my grandkids and younger people don't realize what baseball was. Baseball was it. The coolest people played baseball. Baseball, being in Philadelphia, you hear baseball games, summertime, that was it. Has the world passed baseball by, or do people realize it is a great game to go see?
Well, one of the things that Major League Baseball is working on is shortening the games.
Yes.
So there's a lot of new rules coming up, pitch counts and things of that nature that I'm, anxious to see this coming season. And believe it or not, I got in baseball because my father was a Dodgers fan. So growing up, there were 6 girls and 1 boy in my family. And so for him, an outlet was to either go on the back porch or go in his car and listen to baseball on the radio. And we would, I was what we call the knee baby, or next to the youngest, and I would follow him in. And so at a very young age, I was exposed, like, what is he listening to? And you could hear the roar of the crowd when there was, a home run. And it's really ironic that I really, that I grew up to be a baseball fan.
And how did you be an Atlanta Braves fan?
Well, I retired from SunTrust Bank, that's now part of Truist, and they relocated me to Atlanta for a brief period of time to the corporate headquarters. So I was based there, flew back and forth between here and my home in Richmond. And it's my time in Atlanta. It's a really sports town, and I fell in love with the Atlanta Braves, having been in love with what we used to call in Richmond as the baby Braves. See, Richmond had the farm team of the Atlanta Braves, and they left because we wouldn't build them a new stadium.
And look what happened.
And so now Richmond has the farm team of the San Francisco Giants. But I was a child of the baby Braves and got to see the what I call the real Braves in Atlanta when I was based there for my job.
All righty, so we talked sports. there's some other information that you have something else looming on the horizon.
Yeah, actually, pivoting again. I am running for office, and I am a candidate for the Virginia State Senate in the newly drawn 13th district that includes the eastern part of Henrico, Highland Springs, Sandston, and Marina. Also includes Petersburg, Hopewell, Dinwiddie, Charles City, Surrey, and Sussex. And so I'm a Democratic candidate trying to get on the ballot for the Democratic primary in June. And pretty exciting, pretty exciting. Folks need to know, there's a lot at stake this year. All of the seats in the General Assembly are up for re-election, House of Delegates and the Senate. And there's a lot at stake this year. And so I entered the race to really make a difference and to make sure the Democrats take back the House.
I've had other political folks on, and I asked them one question. How do you get that next generation to run when we look at campaigns and how brutal they can be?
Yeah, they can be brutal. Money's a big factor, raising money, but there's hope on the horizon. There's a lot of young folks entering, and we had a lot of young candidates that are part of the Congress. They were in this last election. So there's hope, and I think when young people really see there's a continue to fight. There's still things to continue to fight for. And so we're really fighting for that next generation. And I think what they've gone through with the pandemic and some of the social unrest, and they're really fired up. So I think there's hope. Hope.
I guess running for office. Now, I'm not from here. I just know the areas that you talk. There's some big differences between those. Like the East End of Henrico and Surrey, some of the topics and concerns are probably the same. Other ones are totally different. How do you figure out what county, what people need, where they are? I guess listening plays a big part.
Well, actually, the Varana area, the eastern part of Henrico, there's a lot of similarities in those other areas that are now part of the 13th Senate District. There's a lot of rural areas. There's a lot, need for regional transportation, things of that, and then human services. So there's a lot of similarities in the areas that's part of that newly drawn district.
Already, Angela Rowe is here with us. How can people find information, one about the show and then about your candidacy?
They can find me on Women Know Sports and Money, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and they can follow Rowe for Senate, ROWE, RoweForSenate.com is my political website.
All righty, Angela Rowe is here with us. Give her, when you started in banking and a lot of business people come to you, give our listeners some things that when we show up to see a banker, what should we have with us and what should we make sure that we don't do?
Well, have your paperwork in order. If you're someone who wants to start a business, make sure your taxes are up to date. Have that financial paperwork, have a business plan. There are a lot of organizations, and that's one of the things we do. We put you in contact with, there's a lot of organizations that help with business plans and development. Some of your other clients and show hosts have been on. There's a lot of business centers around. There's a lot of resources available for helping start a business. I was recently on the board of Envision, Lead, and Grow, which is a nonprofit based out of Norfolk that actually starts with young girls, encouraging and helping them to develop entrepreneurial skills and products and services. So it really starts young. And that's one of the things I want to advocate for is financial literacy. It really starts young. And we need more financial literacy in our schools to help with that mindset of building wealth and starting businesses young to be more independent.
When you were young, you want to be a banker?
Actually, no. My first 2 years of undergraduate, I was actually, my goal was actually to go to law school. And the first two, I'm a graduate of NC State University in Raleigh. And the first 2 weeks, I had a work-study job in the finance department of NC State and fell in love with the numbers. And at the time, I was majoring in English because everyone says, oh, law school is, lots of reading and writing. But after working in the business office for a couple of weeks, I fell in love with the numbers. I fell in love with finance and economics. So I changed my major after my first 2 weeks in undergrad and majored in business management and economics, and I've never looked back.
First job out of college?
I knew I was going to go home to mom, back to Richmond from Raleigh, and I knew I was going to work for the bank. The bank that I worked for, SunTrust, at the time it was United Virginia Bank that became part of SunTrust Bank. And United Virginia Bank, which is really, in my mother and grandmother's generation, part of what was then State Planners Bank. So I knew I was going home. I was going to work real hard to get a job at the bank. And that's actually what I did.
So mom and the folks looked at you, their baby's working at the bank. That's big.
Yeah.
That's big. When did you know that you had something in that career in the bank? You're like, hey, I'm pretty good at this thing.
Wow, I'll tell you, banking is a lot of hard work. One of the benefits for me was mentors, having supervisors and managers who saw the potential in me and gave me opportunities to supervise and manage others, opportunities to automate. Back when I started in banking, a lot of things were manual at the time. And so I had some great mentors and supervisors who saw the potential in me and gave me the opportunity. And that's, how I was able to have a rewarding career.
Shout out to my friend Tanya Battle is out there on the front lines of helping people understand the banking industry and wealth management. All righty, ma'am. One last time, how can people find you for candidacy as well as for your show?
Again, roweforsenate.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, Women Know Sports and Money.
Women Know Sports and Money, that's a combination. So congratulations on that. All things that you do. On the mic with Mike, we talk to the game changers after we bring you the best and the brightest. This lady is exactly that. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I have a business show on ESPN. People think it's crazy, but I didn't come here with the idea of marrying those two. So kudos and congratulations to you.
Thank you.
On the mic with Mike, ESPN Richmond. That's where you find us every day, 5 to 7 a.m. Also The Choice, International Business Book Radio. Look at it for my show on CW Richmond every Wednesday and Friday. That's Mike King Biz and Friends. You'll see snippets of shows. You'll see people you recognize, but you always learn something and be entertained. We got to go. As I always say, the microphone ain't free. Plus, my grandkids need stuff. So make sure you support our sponsors and advertisers. We got to go. Thanks, though. Take care.